South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has named a new cabinet, including former rebels and members of the opposition, a step forward in drawn-out peace process aimed at ending more than 2 years of conflict. A decree read out on state television and radio said a third of the ministers in the new 30-member National Unity Cabinet were members of the SPLM, and the opposition party led Kiir's long-term rival Riek Machar under pressure from the United States, the United Nations and other powers. Both sides signed a peace deal in August, but it broke down repeatedly. Machar only returned to Juba on Tuesday and was swiftly given back his old job. Fighting broke out between both men's supporters in the capital in December 2013 after Kiir sacked Machar as vice president. This triggered ethnically charged clashes across the oil producer that the UN says have killed thousands and forced more than 2.3 million to flee. Now, the terror group Islamic State claimed its first attack in Somalia earlier this week, though the claim has not been verified by forces on the ground. Meanwhile, Al-Shabab militants have stepped up their attacks as Somalia prepares for elections later this year. As VOA's Ridgwell reports, there are growing frustrations among Somalia's western backers over the country's slow progress in forming its own armed forces to establish security after 25 years of chaos.
Somali authorities say they are countering a resurgence from Al-Shabab rebels after years of progress in driving back the militants.
Al-Shabab has changed strategically their operations from the face-to-face fight to target, the military bases, or target to the civilians, such as hotels, so they can terrorize the civilian population.
That has included a series of suicide attacks in recent weeks, many of them targeting government figures in the capital, Mogadishu. Analysts say Al-Shabab has been extending its reach across East Africa as it has lost territory in Somalia.
So we've seen it exert a much greater level of influence in Kenya, for example. There's much higher levels of recruitment and fundraising going on in Kenya.
Kenya recently marked the first anniversary of the Garissa University attack, when Al-Shabab gunmen killed 148 people. Kenya is one of the main contributors to the African Union peacekeeping force known as AMISOM. After initial territorial gains, Somali authorities say AMISOM forces have been largely confined to their barracks for the past year.
What we're seeing now is that AMISOM, as a result of those successes, is to a certain extent overstretched, meaning that it's having problems holding on to and establishing a presence in the territories that it has retaken.
Headline says AMISOM is also increasingly fragmented.
In Somalia especially, there is suspicion about what troop contributing countries are, what their interests are in the country, and that they may not be operating for the greater good of Somalia.
Somalia's western backers, including the United States, have been effectively paying the wages of Somali government troops. The European Union recently cut the monthly stipend it pays to AMISOM soldiers.
They need support by the international community because the government is financially not in a position to pay their salaries and to arm their military, and also to lift the arms embargo against the Somali National Army.
The United States has carried out a series of drone strikes against Al-Shabab militants. The Somali government has welcomed the intervention and warns of a growing threat in the run-up to elections scheduled later this year. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.